Good afternoon, Matt and Barry, and everybody in the audience.
How's it going? Welcome back, Devs in the Shed.
Yeah, good to see you again, Matt. And today we've got our special guest, Barry. So Barry's in my team at AWS as well. He's a solution architect. Do you want to say hello, Barry?
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, glad to be here, Paul. Excited to work with you guys today.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day in Melbourne for us here. The weather's nice, but we had a few shakes this morning. When I say a few shakes, we had like an earthquake across Melbourne. That wasn't too major, not too much damage or anything, but it was kind of a bit weird when for the first time you experienced like your house sort of wobbling around. I wasn't sure whether it was me or whether it actually had happened.
It's the first time I've ever had an earthquake in Melbourne. Like I was in New Zealand when the major earthquakes happen, right? And they happen every day in New Zealand. Like shout out to anyone that's living in New Zealand because it's a day-to-day occurrence. But I was like, what's happening? An earthquake? I've never had this in Melbourne. So it's highly irregular for us, right? But I know a whole bunch of people like out there will have regular earthquakes. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you've had any earthquakes recently.
Yeah, especially if anybody's in Melbourne and they felt it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was
an earthquake in Melbourne was probably about 10 years ago. There was a small one which was quite similar. So maybe it's a cycle.
Yeah. So yeah, let's kick it off with a couple of specific announcements. Maybe I'll go like first because there's one that was a little related to, and I'll share my screen here. That was a little related to what we had seen. Give me 1 second. What I spoke about last week. So last week on the show, we had a little IoT experiment where I configured my Raspberry Pi up, and the audience was able to turn on the lights on and off, and stop and start a motor. That was fairly interesting. And there was a couple of people who were asking about how I configured that up, and so I have a site-to-site VPN that does that. And so one of the announcements came out is around a site-to-site VPN released an update for the configuration utility. So for people that are not aware of, never touched this, when you go ahead and configure up the AWS site-to-site VPN, like there's quite a bit of customization. So whether or not you've got like a specific device or a networking device that's sitting in front of your router between yourself and AWS, or whether you're mimicking that by using some piece of software. So I was using Strong Swan on Raspberry Pi. You need these configuration files, the keys that are required. And, it's a bit fiddly the first time you're going ahead and setting that up. So there is a utility that enables you to go ahead and download that configuration. I would say if that tool wasn't there and some of the documentation around that wasn't there, it was really out of my depth to like figure out what exactly was going. So there was an update to that brings in some additional configuration templates to make that easier if you're going ahead and setting up the site-to-site VPN. So I thought that was one thing that was worth mentioning.
I mean, the coolest thing about that, right, Paul, is like that enables us to get our Raspberry Pis talking to AWS faster, right? Like they can go out through the internet, but now you can have like a private containers hosted with connected into AWS through the VPN. So it's quite cool.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. And Matt, you had a couple that you wanted to do.
Let me pop mine up. I will get my screen share happening for everyone. So just bear with me for 2 seconds. Now let me get on the right tab. This is it here. So CodeCommit is now available in Africa, so within the Cape Town region. So this is pretty exciting. Like a lot of people that are building things on AWS use CodeCommit. If you've got serverless applications, it's really easy to use that for hosting. But also know that there's a bunch of people that will use it for the majority of their workloads, like containers and everything else that they've got, container-based workloads. I guess the call out for this though is, hey, thanks, Tori. Welcome to the show again. It's always great to have you on as a regular in the background. I'll just put the comment up so everyone can see it. There we go. So like one of the things is like Paul and myself have set out to try and get our DevOps Pro certification in the next couple of months. Like we have most of our associates. I think I've got all my associates. And, we're refreshing like all of our material, like all of our knowledge on like CodeCommit and the code series tools. And one of the things that like pleasantly surprised me, because we're not experts across everything in AWS, right? Like we kind of like get expertise in the areas that help our customers or that we're interested in, and then we have like a broad skill set around the everything else. But CodeCommit really impressed me with the fact that you could lock out branches, down to certain groups. And that means that if you're onboarding external developers or you've got like junior developers that you don't want to play in the main branch, you can now like you can have CodeCommit basically like manage access rights to branches, which I thought was a really cool feature. But I know, Paul, you've played a bit with it as well, and you had some other observations, like as we kind of refreshed our knowledge, getting ready for DevOps Pro.
Yeah, I guess it's infinitely configurable, right? So when you think about like what you're doing with your building your pipelines and your mechanisms or your SDLC lifecycle, like there are a multitude of things that you might want to kick off. So certain things that are triggered like on a branch push or a commit, things like being able to directly trigger a Lambda when you've pushed into a certain branch. And that might go ahead and kick off some specific tests, and all these things hook into the lifecycle of your application. And
or SMS topic, right? Like, so whatever event you want to be notified about or have feed into another system, you can. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's like it's basically infinitely configurable, and SNS, great. Go ahead and fan it out to whatever mechanism you want to go ahead and do that. And then if you've got Lambda there as well, you can literally do anything. It doesn't matter what you come up with. Lambda will enable you to like customize that however you want. So yeah, it's a good refresher to see that a service like CodeCommit is not just a Git repository. There's so much can come out of that depending on the requirements and size of your team.
Yeah, exactly. So now available in Cape Town, awesome. But I think it's something that everyone should take a look at in a little more detail, because when you peer under the hood, you realize you've got a lot of flexibility there, which makes it quite awesome for large teams and managing code bases. Yeah. The next one that I wanted to cover was Amazon Connect Chat. So this is a really good service. You can pair it with Connect for Voice, so people can build up a contact center on Amazon, and you've got a lot of flexibility in how you set up contact centers compared to like the more traditional products. I did start like part of my career in app development, but also in the contact center space. So really passionate about this one. Chat in particular, I love because it just makes it easy for visitors to flick off a message, then go about their day, and then have the query come back to them. One of the things that's like really cool is passing like attributes and display names for the end user, right? So Connect finally has support for that. A lot of customers were managing that with Lambda and a database in the back end, and a few other bits and pieces. But now it's out of the box, so you can kind of pick up a name from a customer, relay through attributes through the website or whatever else it is, and then that helps the contact center agent to better service the customer. But it also allows like better routing choices if you're mapping across like like loyalty status. So if this member's gold on Qantas, for example, just naming an Australian company there. So it means that that they can get gold support, and they might go to a special queue, right? Perhaps. I don't know how their queues work. I'm just giving you an example. But yeah, that's really neat. I don't know if either of you have anything on that. And there's only one other thing I wanted to share.
No, nothing particular. It probably ties in pretty well to Barry's segment, which we'll get to in just a sec.
Cool. Excellent. The last one is because ARM is taking over the world. I love AMD, I love Intel, I love all my processors, but in particular, I love Raspberry Pis, and I love my M1 at the moment, right? So I'm really excited when I see new Graviton instances. I do know like the price and the performance is such an incredible boost compared to like some of the other instance types that we've got in AWS. So, a lot of people are moving their databases because it's quite low risk, like moving like Aurora and RDS instances across to ARM, and they're getting a 53% cost to performance ratio of benefits when they do that. So basically, like they can downsize their existing instances to require less, and they can save up to 53% of the cost when they do that. They could keep their instances as is and save about 20% as well, and then just have lots of extra bandwidth and memory for if things need to scale out with their database instance types. But it really excites me. So we've got R5B Graviton instances, we've got T4G Graviton instances, and X2G Graviton instances there. And so I guess, especially when it comes to databases like Elasticache, like Redis, those types of services, it's so easy to get on the ARM bandwagon, and you get such a cost savings and performance gain. It's just worth doing. And, traditional workloads, you can definitely move to ARM as well if you want to, and you're going to get the same cost and performance benefits. It's just RDS and the like. You don't have to make sure that all the binaries are compatible, like your image is compiled for ARM, not x86, x86. So yeah, that quite excites me. I always know I talk about this in detail, but yeah, every time something in Graviton land happens, I like to talk about it. I've got Gekdeg just asking Shoss around the sheds. The shed is finally kitted out, so it is looking pretty good. I might have to tour sometime, or cabin. Let me see what I can do. I can't really move the camera too well, so I'll just move it above my head. So over here, if I get my finger right, that space, that cabinet, that's effectively going to be my Lego stash. So over this way in that like little cabinet there, and I'm terrible with my hands. Where I've got that poster from Back to the Future, I might move out so it focuses better. There we go. That's actually like a pull-out table, which is really, really nice as well. So I've got my iMac M1 in there. And then I've got a whole bunch of figurines. And then you get over to the more technical area if I move the camera. So yeah, here we've got like my soldering iron, like I've got a bunch of electronics and stuff on the lower desks, on the lower shelves, Monkey Island, a whole bunch of video game paraphernalia. And you can see some floppy disks and an Arduino. But if I move down slightly, right down the bottom, I've got a really old Mac as well. So it's really hard to see. And I think the other side of it is it's fully insulated, but I can work in here all hours of the day because I've got air conditioning. And then the wife has, her music and everything else to the side. So quite a cool space. Really enjoying it.
Gek asks, where's your Raspberry Pi cluster? I know you've got that interesting Pi cluster.
Actually, it is there, actually. So let me see. See that black box there? That is my Pi cluster.
Yeah, you'll have to bring that on and show us that next.
Yeah, that's got a whole bunch of compute modules, buried within. So it's going to be hard to show the camera, but you can see them all here. So you can see them all embedded in the board there. I don't have it active at the moment because I've got my Argon Raspberry Pi 4 as the active thing connected to the network at the moment. But this is where I do container-based experiments when I plug it in and I want to run it. So yeah, and I've got Cat 6, so great connectivity. No issues with internet or power in the cabin. So yeah, a little tour.
All right, and Barry, over to you. I know there was one. I'll share the screen up, and you can have a look.
You can share. Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, this one. Look, I've got an interest in security, and I'm always kind of working in that space with my customers. And I always like when we bring out additional security features to just make it easier for our customers to protect themselves, identify, and also investigate. And that's what this one does. It's Amazon Detective is an investigation service. So it's now supporting findings from S3 and Route 53 DNS from GuardDuty. So, when these findings are alerted in GuardDuty, or you can put them through Security Hub, Detective now can take those findings and make it easier for you to understand what those findings mean. And as you can see, there's some key callouts in that. When was this bucket created, or was there any sensitive APIs such as disabling logging on S3 buckets initiated? Not a massive one, but just a nice little add-on, a nice little feature to Detective, and making that investigation process just that a little bit easier for our customers, and just building on our whole security story.
Yeah, it's security is job zero for us at AWS, but we spend so much time as generalist developers focused on building out things, that we often forget to put surface up the amount of security products that we have available and that we use all of the time. So I know that Matt and I and Barry, that we have many specific workloads, proof of concepts, and demos running in our personal AWS accounts. And there's a plethora of tools there that enable us to make sure that whatever we're doing, even in a proof of concept, is set up and run securely. So the tools such as Detective, GuardDuty, Security Hub, these are all set up to effectively provide us as close as possible to that single pane of glass, to where all security related issues can come together, and many tools that help us when something does go wrong to be able to dive into it. And secondly, to be able to put near real-time measures in place. So, for example, specific things will trigger an event that isolates a workload, for argument's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of configuration around security, and it's something that comes up time and time again with all the customer interact with, security and security of your applications in the cloud. It is just so important, and so it is something that we should continue to focus more on with what's new. So given that we've gone through what's new, Barry, did you want to give us an intro and share your screen and talk us about this little product that you've got? So digitizing humans.
Yeah, it's a digital human. It's a cool little thing. Let me just share my screen. Give us some tabs. All right. Sharing, just checking. Everybody can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Popped it up. So we've got uniquedigitalhumans.com.
Yeah. So just to give you a quick snapshot of what a digital human. It's essentially it's an AI back-end AI powered digital human that's meant to, I suppose, elevate interactions with things like chatbots and those various interactions. This is a cool little project I ran for a POC with a customer alongside Unique, who are one of our partners. So for the digital human today itself, I'll be using Unique's platform, but showing how you integrate it and configure this this digital human with our services. Let me give you a quick snapshot of the what we're going to build today. So obviously we've got our digital human here, which is based on the Unique platform. Going to deploy a very simple API and API gateway, integrate that with Lambda, and then we're going to integrate that with a Lex bot that we're going to build. And we're going to use one of the I suppose pre-canned Lex bots that we provide out of the box.
Excellent. What kind of use cases do you see? I would be going back to my contact center background and saying you could have some of the journeys that are well understood, well documented from contact centers, delivered through Lex and digital human. But are there other use cases that you see being used in industries?
Yeah, look, it's I think the digital human's the next evolution of that chatbot, and the use cases we're seeing are in the financial space, healthcare specifically, and the POC that I was building out for a customer was for HR itself. So people could ask HR specific questions, and the good thing about this is it's configurable to to our platform, and you can extend this architecture again out to services like Kendra. You can do your enterprise search and provide that back through the digital human as well. And it's just providing that next level of interaction, I suppose, if you want to call it emotional intelligence. So rather than talking on the phone or looking at a little chatbot down in the right-hand corner or left-hand corner of your screen or whatever, you've got this almost lifelike person on the screen that's kind of interacting with you. And the good thing about this Unique platform is, you can tweak the emotions. You can make it smile, you can make it not smile, and stuff like that. So that's a little bit more involved. We're not going to show that today, but that's just some of the capabilities that it can do today as well. But yeah, I think there's more and more use cases for something like this popping up. Contact center would be a very cool use case to plug this into something like Connect to see if you can get that kind of interactions. So customers coming in and seeing and interacting with a digital human rather than a keyboard or a phone pad or that little chat box in the corner.
You're on mute, Paul, but I'm guessing you're going to ask. I selected GecDev's question as well. So what's this look like compared to Sumerian, I guess?
Yeah, look, Sumerian is more around building scenes and having the individual, having the person in there. Unique have built this so it's configurable. So it's configurable for your scenario. You can pick a particular bot and a particular scene, and it's they've made it flexible. It just doesn't work with our platform. It works with lots of the other platforms as well. And is it a competitor of Sumerian? Yeah, most likely. But again, it's just another scenario of where AWS, we have a particular service, and we have customers and partners, etc., that provide a similar type service as well. Like Netflix, etc., for example.
Yeah, I do view it as like a bit of a different fit, right? Like I've got a lot of experience in the space too. But Sumerian, I always viewed as like the retail use case. It's like you can have a digital avatar. A digital avatar could be recommending products in the shop, and you've got control over the camera placement, and you can zoom out and you can look at other things. So you can kind of build it into like almost like a little game engine environment that represents your store and take people through those new items. Like the digital assistants, they really focus the camera on the actual character itself, and they invest most of their time like having it kind of have human-like qualities in terms of being able to express itself. So it's supposed to have empathy, sympathy. It's supposed to be able to be tied to chatbots or real humans as well. And some people have done like facial tracking of their contact center agents, so that like they don't have to show the contact center agent working, from wherever they are with a messy background, etc. They can have like that clean like look from a brand perspective, and people can alter the avatars that look a little bit like themselves. And then, but the good thing is, like, behind the scenes of this 3D avatar, you've got a real person and their real expressions getting tracked as well as you have a conversation with them.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's a space that's growing, and and look, when I first started working with this, this was my first experience with building the POC with the customer, and I just thought it was. Just thought it was something pretty cool. Using the bot, you can control the conversation, and you control the interaction, and you can develop that yourself. And then they just provide that interface. And in times like like today, with lots of people at home and stuff like that, they're starting to see more and more people. Use cases popping up where this might be able to, not completely, replace that connection, but help with that sort of connective feeling and stuff, and in scenarios like that with COVID going on around the world. So it's it's something that's definitely growing, I think. Okay, shall we get started?
Yeah, let's dive into how it stitches together. All right.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's start from back to front, I think. Let's start with the Lexbot. We'll deploy the API and the function, and then we'll connect up the digital human. So, all right, let's jump into Lex. As you see, I do have a few bots already created, but let's just create a brand new one. Let's do order flowers. We'll call it demo. Please yell out for any questions or any anything specific you want me to dive deep on or talk about. Create our bots. That should be building here.
I guess one of the things that I really like about Lex in particular is that you can turn on that sentiment monitoring. This looks like Lex V1 if I'm looking at it correctly.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, sentiment's really good because sometimes chatbots don't have the most perfect conversation, or they just they haven't been trained on a particular intent, and so you need to escalate through before the customer gets frustrated. So having sentiment evaluated right throughout the conversation means that you can pull the plug away from Lex and put it to some of the live agents in your contact center as well, which is really valuable. But the other thing is you can also score the success of your chatbot as well. So you can watch the positive sentiment, and for journeys and intents that they're hitting in this particular category, if there's really good positive sentiment, it means that you've mapped the journeys appropriately and you don't need contact center agents to look through and like optimize the journey a little bit.
Also getting started is like, it's all fairly easy. Like there's some new terminology such as like utterances and, there's new technical jargon around the terminology. But once you get a hang of it, it's actually like fairly easy. Like, I'm sure Barry will go into it, but the way the sample utterances work, saying like, I would like some flowers. I'd like to pick up some flowers. These things mean that somebody wants some flowers.
Yeah, basically they're just different ways of asking a question, right? And a question is an intent. The different ways are utterances. And then you basically have, slots, which are sometimes people come in and give you everything in the one sentence. Sometimes you got to poke and prod them to get all the details that you need to be able to answer a query. So that's kind of where slots come into play. So they're all the bits of information that you need to collect before you can give some advice. And then the response and the fulfillment's going to be the advice, and I guess, some of the bits of information that you might need to pick from your brand's back end to structure up that response and advice back to the customer. So it's actually really fun. It's definitely, it's just more of a terminology thing, but once you've gotten your head around it, it's really easy to build bots quickly with Lex.
Yeah, it is a terminology thing. Like with the customer that I work with, they had no experience with Lex, so I had to train them on Lex. And I use this analogy, like you're looking at utterances and confirmation prompts and fulfillments and all that type of wording, which was all brand new to them. And I said, just imagine yourself walking into a flower shop and thinking through that interaction. You're going to walk into the flower shop and somebody's going to say, "Hi, how can I help you today?" Or "Can I help you?" And you're going to, reply back with one of these saying, "Oh yeah, I'd like to get some flowers, want to pick up some flowers," etc. And if you're ordering flowers, and then obviously the flower shop's not selling one flower type, so they're going to say, "Right, what flowers do you want? Do you want roses? Do you want daisies? Do you want tulips? Whatever other flowers are in there." If you're getting delivered or you're getting picked up, what date do you want to pick them up, and what time? And that's kind of the interaction that you're going to have in a shop if you're to walk into a shop, and that's kind of how you start to, I got my customer to start thinking through those scenarios that they were type of building. Just imagine yourself in that scenario and you're going through that conversation. Cool. All right. So we've got our order flowers bot built. I am going to add an intent. Intent is one that I have in the account already, and this is a welcome intent. So like I said, you're walking into the shop and you're saying, the person in the shop is going to say, "Hi, welcome. It's, how can I help you today?" So in my welcome intent, the only item I've got configured is that particular interaction saying, down here it says, "Hi, my name is Kate, and I will be helping you with your demo today." And I think it ends at saying, how may I help you? Yeah, so similar interaction. Imagine yourself walking into the shop, somebody who's going to utter some phrase or utter that type of phrase to you. All right, we're going to build this bot now.
So all of this is buildable and configurable through like the console. Is it possible to automate this stuff as well? Like, I don't really know. Can you do all of this with
Yeah.
CloudFrame, or is it CLI only?
With Lex, you can do it with CloudFormation, but you probably need to use the APIs more with Lex. The API and the Lambda function have got a code base for that particular for those particular resources. We're going to publish this, and we're going to give it a alias of demo.
So once you've built these Lex bots to publish or to host that, you don't need to do anything. It's part of the package, right?
No, that's all. It's all part of the service. It's completely packaged within the service. That's the great thing about Lex. You can do it all within the console, and you can even test it here. When this publish screen goes, you can test it over here on the right hand side. So even before you start integrating your bot with your application or with your interface, whatever you want to do, you can come in here and go, let's like to order for see if I can spell it correctly.
And Marcus just had a question: bulk upload and download knowledge with Lex. So that's completely possible, right? Like you can export like your existing Lex chatbots as JSON, if I remember correctly, like in how I've done it in the past. That also means that I can export like through the CLI and basically like test against the JSON to see if there's any significant changes as the bot gets modified, which is really good because the more intents that you build out, the more there's a chance that there's going to be very similar things that are asked, and the accuracy might be lowered, or the response gets confused between the two. So yeah, you can upload and download knowledge and intents directly into Lex, but that's also really, really helpful if you want to do some testing to make sure as new intents get built, the accuracy of existing intents doesn't get tripped when you run like your little like base of customer questions against the chatbot for testing. And third-party tools, there's actually many, right? Like you can deal directly in the Lex interface. You've got access through the SDK and the CLI. I worked for a company previously that had built a conversation builder. I had a team that I used to manage that built a conversation builder on top of Lex, which is really neat. And there's many other ones in the market. There's a lot of AWS partners that have created really simple to use platforms where you can use like rich cards and buttons and media to show a bunch of different products that you might have in a chat window, and like allows you to build out the conversation flow really easily. Lex is actually a really good like system to build in, but I do find that those additional platforms allow contact center agents to build on top of very easily. And then they allow the developers to slice off and build the custom like programming logic and back-end calls separate to what the contact center agents might be building and connect as well. So that's kind of why I like those platform options there as well, even though Lex is completely fine to build everything end to end, and if you're technically savvy, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's really good just to get started with as well if you're just getting into this space. As you can see within the console here on the right in the test component, I was able to just run through ordering some roses to be picked up by Friday at 2 p.m. So what we've got in place now, we have our bot in place, we have our welcome intent in place, which is going to greet us hopefully when we connect up our digital human, and we have put that in there. We have our demo alias in place as well. So going back to our diagram, we've got our Lexbot building in the background. So now we're going to concentrate on the API gateway and the Lambda function, which is here. So I have all this defined as code. I'm in the process of getting this published as a blog. So this code will be published pretty soon, hopefully. This blog will be published pretty soon. Hopefully, my Mac is running low on battery. Yeah, which is not okay. I'm going to just move to another room where I have a power source. Can you give me 1 minute? Sorry about this.
Go for it. No, that's okay. Any questions so far? Like, we've had a couple of really good questions come in. I've used Lex a lot, so as Barry gets sorted, I'm more than happy to kind of take the lead on the questions.
About maybe like 6 or 8 months ago, there was a lab on Lex that you did at AWS Programming Tools. I was trying to look for that lab in the background, but that was a really good lab where we went through building a chatbot and we used Lex to go ahead and build that. And I think that there was about maybe 80 or so people that attended on that day.
And that's right.
I think a lot of us were sort of like unsure of like the terminology, how it fit together, how it worked. And by the end of that, like, you grasp the concepts of what's happening there. And you're right, like with the contact center, like Lex, the contact center. Oh, you found it. Yeah, good. The contact center using Lex, Alexa, it's very similar. So once you understand how to use one type of chatbot, it's very similar across the different products. If you're using like Alexa or Lex as a chatbot, or you even using Connect to the contact center as well.
This is the link here, so grab it in the chat. I've put it across each of the channels we're streaming on. And yeah, there we go. Barry, you've got power.
I am back. Yeah, quite interesting. I've told me I had less than 10 minutes, and I've just plugged it in. It's gone. You're at 27%. I don't think my Mac charges that quickly, so I might have a
it's a worry. Maybe your battery is getting
low. Issue going on somewhere.
Could have been the earthquake.
Yeah, we'll blame it on the
well, actually, that's what you need to tell IT, Paul, on your Mac issue. It was the earthquake and something falling on your laptop, which caused the keyboard to break.
Yes. It's I have to guess where the buttons are on the touch bar because it doesn't light up anymore.
Oh, yeah. It was the tiniest thing as well. It was like a tiny little pen or something like that. Just fell like half a meter onto your touch bar and gone.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Excellent. All right. You can I'm sharing my screen again. You can.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Excellent. All right. So moving to the API and the Lambda function. When we built this POC, the code originally was using Express Server and a number of routes, etc., things like that, and it was had to be on a compute or a container. And we just, I started working with Unique to finesse, I suppose, reduce the amount of code and reduce the services that it needs, so we can just get some integration like this deployed super quickly, which is what we're going through today. So yeah, look, starting with just give you a quick look with the API gateway. Or the API itself, it's just got a Swagger definition in here. Kept it super simple for just demo and POC purposes. There's a lot more that needs to go in here in terms of security and responses, etc., things like that. But just for these purposes, just wanted to keep it super simple. Have a single Lambda function here that just processes the request from the digital human via the API gateway, and then just passes it down to the Lexbot and starts powers that interaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just deploy this. And the way I built up, but this is I'll show you the template as well. I've used AWS SAM or our serverless framework just to deploy this and make it that a little bit easier again. In the process of trying, building this up into CDK to even reduce the amount of code that we have even further and kind of make it even quicker. So
good lad, Barry. Best practice essential. Good lad.
Yeah.
I do really like SAM though. It's still a go-to because it's just so quick.
Sam
Yeah.
and CDK is pretty new as well, though. Like that's cutting edge in terms of bringing it all together.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, it's I've used SAM quite a few times in the past. As Paul said, it's really cool. I really like it. And then I've just started getting into CDK recently, and deployed just some demo code base which does exactly this. And I think we've got too many lines of code. We've got here. We've got 183 in this template, and I think a CDK template had about 30 to 40. So just kind of makes it that little bit easier again. All right. So what I'm going to do is, so we need to capture the name of our Lexbot. Grab it from here. And run the command, which I have run earlier. I'm just going to do 37. And we're going to push that into our command. So these are parameters being pushed into the template that are set as environment variables on the function. So we've got our name, we've got our bot alias, which I'm pretty sure was demo. Yeah, it was demo. I've got my S3 bucket name, and then I'm just pushing in a version. So I like to version all my resources and stuff like that. So just in case you're running different versions or different, trying to address different features within an application. Run the SAM deploy command with that with those inputs, and we should start seeing this being deployed in our AWS account, which it is.
So
I like
this
this.
yeah, the Lambda function API gateway is just the glue that connects the digital human to the back end or the brain, the Lexbot, right?
Yeah, correct. Your face is the digital human. Your brain and how you define the conversation is defined in the Lexbot. This is just the integration pieces. It's just connecting the two together. And there is, and I like SAM, and CDK does something similar. So it provides you all the outputs within the console as well. So you're not actually switching between tabs in CloudFormation and trying to make sure that's working there and going through the events and stuff. All that is shown to you on the screen here in using SAM or CDK. So I like that. I like that part of it as well. That's really quick. And there we go. It has been deployed. And when you're doing deploying an API as well, it actually gives you your API endpoint, so you don't have to go searching for it or digging for it, which is a nice little feature. Okay, so let's just switch over to our console. And let's look at our Lambda applications. So just to double check, v7. So here we have our endpoint, and we have our log group, our particular API, IAM role, and our Lambda function ready to go. We can just confirm that our environment variables are in place for our Lambda function. So we got demo, we've got our order flowers demo, we've also pointed out our welcome intent as well. Now, if I switch to, sorry about all the screen jumping off the back of the earthquake this morning. Hopefully that's not hurting too many people's eyes. If I just switch to Postman, this in, I should hopefully get a response. Oh no. Let me try that again. I have been having issues with my Postman this morning, so maybe that's what's causing that. Let's try and just hook up the digital human. Okay. All right, so that has been deployed. And we're working. So, we've got our bot in place. We've got
You didn't actually accidentally catch an extra space.
Yeah, I don't know. It's no, I haven't. Oh, I did actually
Yeah.
at the end there. Thanks, Paul. I have been having issues with my Postman this morning where it wasn't working. Ah, there you go. Space in the end.
The
There we
extra
go.
space.
So, yeah, thank you for that.
Come on, people in the audience, who's been bitten by the leading or trailing space? We all have.
Yeah. For some reason, because for some reason my second test here hasn't been working this morning, and I've actually had to close my Postman down and reopen it, and it actually has worked again. So there is an update for Postman. I don't know whether that's anything to do with it, but as you can see here, just so what's happening now is we're pushing a request. We'll go to the body, pushing a request to the API that we've just deployed, and it's initiating the welcome and saying, hey, this is my first interaction. Let's trigger the welcome intent that we added to our bot, and then what that does is in Lex it initiates a session, and then it provides the session ID back to the digital human. So that allows the continuation of the conversation, within the session. So when your next question is, what is it? I want to order some flowers. This session is passed into Lex, and Lex in the background is saying, oh, I already have this conversation initiated. I'm going to continue on with this particular conversation rather than starting a new conversation. And if we just have a quick look at our function as well, just to show you where that's getting addressed. So in our function, we have, type is welcome, case is welcome. So this is where the functions get initiated from and how it's been triggered. And then the next event that goes in there is of type question, and that continues the conversation and uses that session ID that has been generated by passing that request into Lex. Okay. So we've got our Lex bot, we've got our Lambda function and our API gateway in there and working. Now let's hook up our digital human and do some cool interactions. Let's switch to, apologies for that. So
I was going to ask, how close can you customize the digital humans? Like, could I create a virtual mat in it and then have it join some of our meeting calls?
Depends how much trickery you want to do with the Lexbot itself. Okay, it's at the code level, you can define some emotions and etc. And you can, I think you mentioned response cards as well on the digital human. You can pass those so they pop up on the screen as well. But yeah, this is just it's a cool little cool product, and I think it's just a matter of tweaking it to your use case. I'm not sure if you can get it for you to join your meeting, so you can, I don't know, be off having a coffee somewhere on a Monday morning, but you can try it.
Make it look like yourself. Upload pictures.
Yeah. No. Anytime someone says, Matt, what's your opinion on this? Then just have it feedback. Well, that's an interesting one. I'll have to have a think.
Yeah.
No?
Just trigger in that manner. If you sign up to Unique, you get a 14-day free trial. And you get access to 3 or 4 avatars. We'll create one and we'll hook that one up just to show you.
Yeah. I'm really interested in, like, if they've got a builder, right? So that's kind of why I asked that question.
Yeah. All right, let me sign in. Let's do that. I'm just going to stop my screen share for the moment because I've got a password that I need to plug in. Security front of mind.
You're on mute, Paul.
Yeah, I thought it was on talking there.
On the left side of your screen was like what you see as the digital human. Like that visually, it's like it's very clear, right? They look pretty close.
Yeah. They're they're pretty good. Like when you start, sorry, I'm just getting the screen.
The other thing that I'll be fascinated about is, like, are they running it real time, like with WebGL in the browser, and will that have performance issues on like older laptops? or are they kind of pre-rendering the video and then streaming it out, right, where you'd have like a couple of milliseconds of delay?
Not quite sure on that. It is pretty real time. I'll show you in the demo now. But they've got this. They've got code base where you can test it from their platform, or where you can actually deploy this within your own network. Say within a Docker container, or within a React front end and stuff like that, so you can embed it into internal websites and stuff like that. So they have all that code base in there and in place and ready for customers to consume, and which is good when customers want to start moving forward with it. But yeah, we'd have to dig into that a little bit further, to be honest with you.
I'll be able to tell like just as soon as we get one on the screen. Yeah, easy.
All right, let's create one. Let's create a persona. So as you can see, you go into your persona, you get quite a number. I think we've picked the one you see on the screen is the one down here in the middle. Let's pick a different one. Let's pick this guy. Move forward with him.
Wasn't the flower's name Kate?
Yeah. So he'll have a kid. Yeah, good point. We might give it a go. A women's space. So her. Let's pick a background. So Matt, to your point earlier, people want the background. They might contact center. They might put some sort of background on to make it easier or tidier or something like that. So we put this put that one. We'll give it a name. We'll call it Kate. Maybe next. We'll pick our language. English Australia. We'll choose a voice. We'll choose an Australian voice. We'll have two ones. Let's pick that one. And here you can then take
Hi there. I'm a digital human. It's great to meet you.
You guys hear that?
Yep.
Nice.
We can hear it.
Cool. All right. And then we will start. And it's just going to jump into a bit of a demo.
I like that they've got an Australian accent. So, like it said, Amazon. Is this using Poly underneath? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's using parts of Poly and stuff underneath as well, which is quite nice.
Very cool.
When you start this, and obviously you can see that's the background we connected. What it chose, and then it comes up.
Hello there. It's so good to meet you. Thanks for spinning me up. You have no idea how cramped it is in the cloud. You probably have lots of questions for me. I'm here to help you with some of those through a guided conversation, or we could just chat. You can select an experience when you're ready.
Okay, cool. And that's so look, it's Matt, keen to get your feedback on this. Like, what are your
Yeah, I've guessed it's not rendered in real time. What I think they've done is they've pre-rendered everything like old games like Diablo 2. So they've got like a bunch of PNGs with every variation of like pronunciation and emotion. And then I think they're streaming those images like through like to align with the conversation, because that would probably give you better performance, and you can have the PNGs or images quite small. That would give you better performance on like older devices. But the reason why I'm making that guess, and it's a complete guess, is because I don't see any jagged edges around her, and her hair looks relatively like blended and smoothed. So if this was rendered in the browser in 3D, they wouldn't have anti-aliasing, which would kind of like smooth out the edges around the character. And I'd say you wouldn't get that level of like shadowing detail and this and that if you had like a real-time light source. But that's just me being a video game geek.
I'll have to take your word for it. Okay, cool. Look, that's what our digital human looks like, Kate. Now let's hook it up to our API. So I'm going to end this conversation. Drops us out to our dashboard again. So we're going to scroll down here. We're going to have Kate here. We're going to go in here, and as you can see, you've got everything. And in here, you've got conversation settings, and obviously it's in a try mode or demo mode. Here we're going to say bring your own conversation platform. And this is where you just plug in our API URL. So let's just grab that. Make sure there's no spaces for. Okay, it looks good. Plug that in, and we hit save. Like that. That's updated. I'm going to go back. One persona, and here we've got a little try button. Let's try this. This should then start interacting with our Lexbot.
Matt Marcus had an interesting comment. It's WebRTC, so he thinks it is streaming. So
Hi,
I wonder if we can get
and I will be helping
Barry
with
to
your
deploy it and
today.
we can try it.
How may I help you?
Sorry, Paul. You.
Yeah, and if it is streaming, that would be like streaming like video then instead of PNGs, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we should we'll dig into that.
Yeah, I would have put my money on PNGs because like video streaming and changing the like everything in real time becomes more complicated, right? Because you've got lots and lots of little chunks of video. Actually, has anyone watched the Matrix trailer? Just as a detour, like
No.
basically, like it took the desktop time or your laptop's local time, and halfway through the trailer, it like showed you the time on the alarm clock in the trailer, and they basically pre-rendered out the video for every time slot that's like within a 24-hour time period, so they can kind of trip you up and make it look like they know a little bit more about you. It's really cool. But yeah, maybe it's the same stuff that's like happening in the video stream in the background here.
Yeah,
and I can see Flanger mentioned it's a little bit robotic.
Is that? Do you think, Barry? Is that anything to do with the Australian voice? Do they just have a smaller sample size? What about if you just, for argument's sake, change it to one of the American voices?
Like I can't remember, but like, I thought the Australian voices were missing neural text to speech, which makes the voices more authentic. Like I could be wrong; it could have come already, but that's probably why it sounds a little bit robotic. So it could be very well the Australian accent. Whereas if you went with a US voice that had neural text to speech and poly, it would be a bit smoother.
Yeah, potentially. That's just it's just the voice. I think the voice I picked. I mean, as you see, there's quite a few. If we drop out of here, go back into my persona. There's quite a few voices you can actually pick from. Spoken voice. Obviously we've got some from Google. There's a few Amazon HD ones which are dependent on SSML. If we go to one of the US ones, try that.
Hi there. I'm a digital human. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, you can still tell that it's digital, but it's a little less robotic.
It's a little less robotic. All right, let's go with that one then. Let's put that one in place. And I think that's something that will improve over time. Okay, so what we're doing, we were trying, and we were going to do that. We were going to start. And if you remember the welcome intent that we configured earlier on, which says, "Hi, my name is Kate," this is where the digital human starting up is posting to our API endpoint.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I will be helping with your demo today. How may I help you?
So that's a little bit better in terms of the voice. So yeah, then that's all. This is all being driven by Lex. So if we hold on our spacebar, I would like to order some flowers, please.
What type of flowers would you like to order?
Roses.
What day do you want the roses to be picked up?
You can also type if you want to type.
Pick up the roses at what time on 2021-0924?
2 p.m.
Okay, your roses will be ready for pickup by 1400 on 2021-0924. Does this sound okay?
Yes.
I'm glad I could help you with your order today. Thank you for ordering with us.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Really tight integration there. Is there a way, Barry, that you can deploy it so we can try it ourselves?
Yeah, there is. Unique have a code base which they can share with customers, which can get deployed inside. You can deploy it inside your own AWS environment, inside a Docker container. Rather than using their platform and stuff like that. So they're trying to cater for multiple scenarios. And whether you want to use their platform or deploy it inside your own, it's completely configurable and open.
Cletus made an interesting comment. It's the proper way to say date formats. My only comment on that is that there's only one correct way to do date formats, and I'm not going to say which it is.
I guess all of that you can configure within Lex, right? Like, so you'd make it saying Friday the 23rd of September rather than formatting it that specific way. But for demo, like when you read it, it's very easy to interpret that like through a chat interface, but it doesn't translate terribly well to a digital human interface.
Yeah. It's and yeah, look, I'm not sure about the date, but yeah, Matt, what's the what is the proper way to say a date format, just out of interest?
Well, I'm always biased, right? Being from Australia and New Zealand, right? So it's always the day, the month, and then the year.
The year, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way I learned it as well. So yeah.
No, I was going to say the video is probably actually smoother on your end as well of the character moving around, right? Because I'm always aware, like when you screen share on these sessions, just like if you screen shared on a WebEx or whatever else, like or a Zoom, there's always a bit of lag too. So it actually looked really responsive. Yeah. But I guess if we had the URL, it'd probably be even smoother if we tested in individual browsers. But this has been really cool, Barry, today.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said, look, hopefully in probably about 2 weeks, that code should be published. And then, as I said, if this is something you guys want to try it yourself, jump on the Unique website, create an account, you get 14-day free trial. And as you see, within the space of 20 minutes, you can have your integration up and running and just doing some testing for your specific use case for your Lexbot.
I'm going to ask one trick question before we wrap up, I guess. Lex v2, how much effort would it be to kind of adapt Lex v2 to suit, right? Because there are some major changes. Rather than having individual bots, you've got like this concept of a central chatbot master in Lex, I guess, and then you have all your
Look, we've had a look at it. We don't think it's going to be too difficult. We're actually currently working on that as well. Working through getting this working with a Lex v2. So yeah, that's it doesn't look too difficult, to be honest with you. But as you said, there's a few things in Lex v2 that you have to cater for.
Yeah, the hierarchical structure of projects down to groups of intents to intents is very different to just like individual chatbots instead of a group. So you'd have many different Lex chatbots in V1. So the API is very different when I checked it out last time. Yeah.
Look, we have started looking at that, and hopefully that should be. We may have that available soon as well.
Yeah, Marcus asked about the blog for Lex v2, but I was just reading like Flange's last comment there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to play with this a little bit more, and maybe really simply a challenge for like Matt and I might be make the two bots talk to each other, like put two laptops near each other and press space and let them have a conversation.
Those never go wrong. I've watched them on YouTube, right? Yeah, chatbots talking to chatbots are always intelligent conversations.
Yeah, but when Marcus asked where's the blog, I thought I would just go ahead and say that Matt and I do have a blog where we're putting some information about specific things from the session, and when Barry's code gets released, we'll go ahead and we'll link to that as well, so you'll have a reference point, and we'll put all the reference points back to the sample code that gets published onto the YouTube channel as well. So there's a YouTube channel where all the videos are archived, and we can put all the links in there as well. So yeah, really great demonstration, Barry. Like, thanks for that. I mean, I'm keen to have a look at it and see how smooth it is at like when you're not running through a streaming platform.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but no, it is pretty smooth on my end, and even the quality of the bot on your local screen as well. Matt, you may see it. It's really nice interface, and just as you say, it's pretty easy to integrate with as well. So just super simple to get started.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Matt, was there anything you want to say before we wrap it up for today?
No, just thank you, Barry, for joining, and it was really really cool to see a nice integration with digital avatars on top of Lex. So yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, awesome. Look, thanks for having me. It's as I said, yeah, this has just been for me. It was something new to me, so I thought it was pretty cool, and glad to share it to you.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we said right at the beginning when we were talking about CodeCommit and Lambda, that it's it is so flexible. You can do anything with Lambda, and here's a good example of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, everybody. Matt left early. We'll stay on, but
Still
we'll
here,
end the broadcast.
but network dropped. Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so stable in the shed.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Well.